Counselor Keener, would you do our invocation, please?
Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day you've given us today after the storms. We thank you for the rain. We pray for the family that were affected by the storm, those that are injured or loss of life. Lord, we thank you for those that are serving in uniform, wherever they may be. We owe them a debt of gratitude. Pray for their safety, homes and families throughout the Cherokee Nation. Father, thank you for those that are here to serve. In Jesus' name we pray. Pardon. Amen.
Thank you. Shelley, you want to call the roll for us?
Jody Fishinghawk. Denise Taylor.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Bird.
Honey.
Julia Coates. Janelle Fulbright. Present. John Garvin. Frankie Harkis.
You're all
Roy
right.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Lee Keener. Dick Lay.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
David Thornton.
Honey.
Victoria Vesquez. David Walkingstick. Sarah Callan Watts. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, you all have a copy of the minutes from the February 26th meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the February 26th minutes. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, that moves us on to the committee reports. I saw Sean. Oh, there you are. Sean, you want to come and do the CMB report for us, please?
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Be reporting on January financial results. We finished at $8.4 million consolidated. It was $2 million above the budget, $1.3 million higher than prior year. C&E had $15.5 million, and they were 2.1 of the budget. The game facilities have really done well over the last 2 to 3 months, especially. Seasonal. We expect it to kind of taper off after the refunds are all in and people's had their stay vacations and all that. Usually it is not as strong for April, May, and June. But anyway, we've had three great months. February will be another record month, and our diversified businesses are also doing well, and things look good financially for the company. We don't have any outstanding debt on our credit line or anything, and we're managing through the construction projects with that, and those projects are going along well. We're wrapping up the clinics, and hopefully by May 1st or mid-May we'll be done with all of those. So Roland is still looking good for a May 15th, 18th opening of the casino. Seen some preliminary sketches or pictures of what it looks like inside. They showed them at our board meeting, and it's going to be a beautiful facility. The hotel is being reconfigured on some of the rooms, and we'll open those in November to December. So all's well on the financial front for our businesses.
Anybody have any okay, yes.
Did you say May 15th?
It'd be the week before Memorial Day, whatever that is, on the casino.
I was just wanting to make sure because they were trying to get a tentative date for the grand opening of Redbird Smith Clinic that same week. I didn't want it to be a conflict, but I thought at the board meeting yesterday they said May 19th.
Well, it'll be right in there somewhere. This, as soon as we can open it, we're gonna open it. We didn't really wanna open it Memorial Weekend, so we backed it up probably a week before that. So it'll be right in there. We'll coordinate that with you.
Thank you. Yes, Counselor Buzzard?
Sean, bids out on the remodel there at Hard Rock on the lobbies.
No, they'll be going out shortly.
And then the hotel at Roland, what we gonna do at the old hotel? What's the plan?
That will be demolished.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. And I think the plan is for that to be part of the parking.
And then, I
Constrained
didn't
on
intend
parking.
to visit the building or the park, industrial park, but what all do we have in there now? Is the machine shop in there?
Machine shop's in there, the distribution is in there, and some of the metalworks business is in there. I think there's about 30,000 square feet that we're looking or have available for something that might come along.
Are we doing some of the metal work for CNI's?
Yes,
That was the plan, right?
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Anybody else have questions for Sean? Okay, in that case, thank you for reporting. Keep up the good work. We appreciate you. We have Lacey Horn, our treasurer.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Tribal Council. I just wanted to make the announcement that we have a new director of our Grant Services Department, and you'll probably remember that we created the Grant Services Department to be a essentially cradle to the grave department that handles not only the development but also the monitoring and assist programs with the reporting, and then finally the closeout and review of those grant opportunities the nation accepts. And so her name is Tanya Johnson. Most of you know her. She's been a longtime employee of the nation, and we feel she's more than qualified to carry this department, and she's already shown strong leadership. We've had quite a bit of success in bringing quite a bit of additional dollars into the nation through this department. Our comprehensive audit will be complete next week, and we're wrapping up our single audit as well. It's still underway, and we should probably expect that April, May-ish. With that, I'll be happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Counselor Keener?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Treasurer Horn, will you help me understand on the contract support settlement carryover? I guess we have 10 million left?
Yes,
with that?
approximately.
Okay, and then, and that's, I guess from the first, it was about 30 million, is that right? Something like that?
I believe after all fees and everything was considered, it was approximately 23 and a half.
Oh, 23, okay, that's after the attorney fees and everything else, right? Okay. So the 23 is what we're gonna, the settlement money is what we use as a carryover, correct? Is that how we're gonna look at that?
So say that again?
Well, the carryover would be the 23 million for the budget.
No, we budgeted about 13 million of that, and you'll see that in your comprehensive budget materials. We provided information on that, and I believe Jody Reese wrote up a pretty good memo on that.
Yes, he did.
So,
Well, and a budget balance of 14 million.
at the time,
Okay. And so, then out of that, then out of the 14 that was left, in mod 1 through 3, we used part of that for the Ocean Clinic. No?
I believe we did set aside about $500,000, if I'm remembering correctly, so that they could go ahead and start the process of hiring doctors, because they knew that the recruitment process would probably be lengthy.
Right.
I do not know if they've spent into that, because if you'll remember, in one of those early mods too, they brought forward approximately $3 million to fund the operations of the Oshaleta Clinic. So that was basically just sort of a stopgap until we got the full budget in place, which
Right.
came about a month or two later.
Now I've got 429K.
Yes.
And then in mod 2, there was an adjustment for community center, nutrition center size, $8,000. And then mod 3 was to increase the Christmas bonuses, 520K.
Yes.
Okay. So now we have 10 million left, right?
And change, I believe.
Yeah, so, okay. That's plenty done. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Uh-huh. Anybody else have questions for Ms. Horn? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to our Career Services and Employment Report from Diane Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The flyer that you see coming around is a listing of all of our career services offices with phone numbers, fax numbers, and all of the staff that work out of those offices. Some of you all had requested this. Well, Lucinda Washington and Brad Eubanks put that together just about 2 hours ago. So I hope it's right. I haven't had a chance to proof it. Jeff wanted me to report that he went back through his figures. We're going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 summer youth kids. There'll be 450 tribal, 150 federal for 6 weeks, starting June the 8th through July the 17th. And the intern program will have 12 slots. John Crenton is going to work with him, and then John will work with him for the rest of the year on this. I've got some people I want to introduce. I think most of you all are aware that John Overacker left and went to the Creek Nation, one of our sister tribes. Shortly thereafter, Dixie Weathers, who was one of our navigators, she resigned. She's going to go to work for Armstrong Bank. And so we never actually filled Larry Ketcher's position. What we did is we took some of his responsibilities and we were going to divvy them out. Well, John took most of those responsibilities. So when we started looking at all of the things that needed to be done, we realized that we needed to look at revamping and assigning various people to do what was being done up there. So the lead role up there. I've got them here with me. Please stand up. John has been working in the economic development area. John has worked with a lot of our businesses. The things we're doing is putting them up there in an interim position to see how they do. We know that Dick's going to be calling, and Jody will call, and Joe will call, and Victoria will call, and we want to make sure that they're serving the needs of everybody in all the areas. So with that, we're kind of partnering, and Willard Mounts, I think all y'all know Willard. Willard is going to serve as the administrative officer, which is a lot of the reports that we do, which is our Davis-Bacon, our EEOC reports. There's a lot of paperwork that goes on up there that Larry Ketcher was doing, as well as some of the, because Willard said I'm not taking on a whole lot more than what I was already doing, but what we're doing is we're taking those roles so that I've got like a second in command up there, because there is a need for that. I've also got to strengthen the commercial side, and I'm working with Chuck on that aspect of it right now so that we can get that strengthened. So we know that there's a lot of projects out there. We've got a meeting set up with Sean and the construction groups so that we can make sure that they fully understand who's actually leading the helm in Taro right now, so that they'll quit calling John, because John is over at Creek Nation. He doesn't need to be calling back over here telling us what needs to be done. So we're going to get all that going. So I'd hope that you would extend a handshake to John and Willard, because John won't go up there till April the 6th, because he's got to transition his stuff out and give that to Darrell Legg. That's what leads me into the next one. Darrell Legg was doing vocational training. If I had to take all my directors, the one that really personifies that, really, not that John doesn't, but Darrell really exemplified it, because he worked with us on the Macy's project from day one. And Darrell's going to take over economic development / get this, reentry. I met with Chief and met with Secretary of State, and I said, in order for us to go after these reentry grants, we have to have a reentry program in place. We don't have one in place. You guys gave us $20,000. That's all we have. You can't get grants and say, we've got $20,000 and we're operating $20,000. You have to have someone who's actually overseeing a program. You have to have a foundation. You have to have a blueprint, so that when you go after those grants through the Department of Justice or through the Department of Labor, you have to have something established that you're already demonstrating that's in place. The staff went over and visited with the Creek Nation. They got a big grant about a year ago. They're operating in Henrietta. They went over and visited with them. And there's demonstration monies out there just right and left, but we're not in a good position. We will be in a better position in the months to come. And so Daryl is going to assume economic development / reentry. When we're successful in obtaining some of these reentry grants, then Daryl's going to move completely out of that, and then I'll backfill that position. But right now, he's going to assume that role. Daryl had a funeral this afternoon. He couldn't be here, but all of y'all know what Daryl looks like, and you know what he's capable of doing. The other individual with Dixie Weathers leaving, I was able to slide one of my counselors who's been working with the reentry clients over into that position, and that's Mary Dunlap. Mary, would you stand up? Mary's going to be the case manager for the JDNEG / reentry, because the reentry comes in with the economic development. Because we're working with businesses right now that will actually take clients who are doing reentry work. They'll take felons. Good example was this morning. Billy Bob came down and said, got this schoolmate that's working for Lazy Boy over in Siloam Springs, and they need 25 people. And he said, you want to follow up on it? So he gave me the lead. I called Lazy Boy, talked to the guy, talked to the personnel director. Daryl came in. We got on a conference call with them. They have a need for 25 workers today. We're not probably going to be able to deliver until Monday, but it's 10-hour shifts. It's good pay. Starts out at $9.70 an hour. They can work up from somewhere from $9.50 up to $15, depending on the productivity after they've been there for a while. The Pryor office, the J office, the Stillwell office are going through their files right now, and hopefully we'll be able to have some candidates that we can send up there, and they will work with us on felons, is what they told us. And they gave us all the information, so staff's working on that. We did a job fair over in Stillwell about, I think it was 3 weeks ago, for Gates Rubber Company. We were able to obtain some people some good jobs up there at Gates. And then as a result of it, the construction crew down, I believe at Roland, I believe they moved about 3 or 4 of the guys that came through for Gates, and they were construction guys. We sent them to Roland, and they went to work. So it's working. We're getting people jobs. We're taking anything we can get to get our foot in the door. As a result of Daryl moving over to that area, John moving over to that area, that left vocational training open. Well, I think all of y'all know that George Roach has been sitting over there on the sidelines, and he's been saying, Diane, I want a chance, I want a chance. Right, George? Stand up. Anyway, George is going to be the vocational director, and he will assume Daryl's responsibilities. Next week is a short week, and they're all going to start transitioning in next week, and as of April the 6th, they'll all be in different roles. I'll have more to tell you in the Education Committee. I'm not going to go into that because this is E&F. But we are meeting next week with the construction group so that we can introduce them to this group. Sean was very receptive to helping us get that all set up. We're meeting with the pipeline people, Dick, trying to get that set up. Thank you for that information. And they're excited about meeting with us, and hopefully we'll be able to get some people jobs up in that area. We've also been on the conference call, Mr. Snell and Mr. Buzzard with Simmons. What was Simmons? It's going to be a different name. But Blake Peterson was on the conference call today, and I had Shabrice Evans from my prior office, and Daryl Legg and I were on the conference call. And we're meeting with them next week. They're going to sign the deal so that they can start operation up there, so you guys will have chickens coming out of that plant again real soon. Yeah. And we're going to try to get the chief up there to meet with Mr. Evans, and so that we can develop this partnership with them. And our office there in Jay will work with them, and we'll give them space to come in to do their interviewing for getting people lined up for their jobs. They're going to start out small, but they'll hopefully within the next 2 years they'll be back up to full steam like they were before. So it takes them a while. Also looking at doing a few more job fairs. We delivered 3 job fairs for C&E on the Roland Hotel, and Vivian and her team are down there going through all of the applicants that came in, and they're doing interviews. And we've got some culinary classes started. We've got 13 applicants that will go to the Salisaw Middle School for culinary training, and then we'll start some new classes. We've got the well here in Tahlequah, and then we're going to Tulsa with the local union, and we'll have welding classes up there. And we've got jobs for them. That's the name of the game. You have any questions?
Counselor
Thank
Lay?
you.
Wait just a minute. Counselor Lay wants to talk to you.
I need all of their cell phone numbers except Willard's. I've got his already.
Oh, you want all of them cell phone numbers? What if I didn't give them a cell phone?
Yeah, you will.
I promise you. Are you talking about the tarot staff, or are you talking about everybody on this?
Tarot staff.
Okay, I can do that. They've all got phones. I thought you meant this group.
No, new faces.
Gotcha.
I chase Willard around every now and then, so I've already got his phone number.
We've already warned John Smith about you.
Okay.
So make sure you meet him.
I am.
He said he'd be your best friend.
The pipeline thing,
Yes.
jobs are good and that's what it's about, but if we get in early enough, we could influence the route and keep it away from areas we don't want to be.
I will let you know when we get that set up.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay, I think you're good. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Brings up Anna Knight.
Wake up, she's asleep.
Good afternoon. You should have a copy of my report. I'd also like to just cover with you that we do have our new incubator tenant downtown, and an esthetician opened on March 1st, so the Court Mall's actually getting some activity, and it looks like a little retail center now. Yesterday, the Deputy Chief and the Secretary of State met with the Oklahoma District Director for the SBA, the Regional SBA Director that covers a 5-state area, and the Director of Native American Programs, and so they had a good conversation. It gave them a chance to talk about some of the changes with the 8A contracting that are a concern at CNI. We also were able to, we held an 8A training here in Tahlequah yesterday, and we're going to be working with them. They have some veterans programs that they're working on developing and trying to expand, so we're going to be working with them to try to focus on some veteran entrepreneurs this year. We also intend to put a focus on some mid-sized companies this year versus some of the smaller micro-enterprise companies, and trying to develop some training programs for them to try to help their companies explore the world of exporting to try to increase their market. So we have the traditional games starting this next month in Chewy, and we'll hold those once a month until the holiday, where we'll have the playoffs. And other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about the report.
Quiet bunch today. Thank you. I guess nobody has any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
DC.
All right, that brings up Dr. Contessa Teehee.
OCO, thank you very much for the opportunity to appear before you here today. I have to apologize for my informal appearance. I came from Indian Territory Days today. We are entertaining 400 school children, and we had a number of volunteers on site. And so when you're dealing with 400 kids on the property, you have to make sure you're mobile. We are preparing to enter our tourist season, and we're going to begin hiring seasonal tour guides. We're going to be limited on our ability on how many seasonal tour guides we're going to be able to hire this year, and we have some really good, excellent returning candidates. So that's great news for us. Upcoming events, the board meeting for the second quarter is going to take place on April 17th, beginning at 1 p.m., and that's going to be there at the Cherokee Heritage Center in the downstairs conference room. The Trail of Tears art show opening reception is going to take place April 17th at 6 p.m. So if you have any time in your schedule, please come out and see all of the fine artwork that we'll have. We'll have artwork representing from over 100 pieces of art. And we have some really, really fine Cherokee artists' work that will be there on display as well. We have recently instituted a new atrium art series, and in the atrium area, we have been able to identify some new adaptable display space. For 8 weeks at a time, we're going to be partnering with various local organizations to present a new forum for artwork. And since it is a smaller space, we'll be able to hopefully move different types of organizations' art in and out, rather than utilizing the 1,500 square feet of space that is going to be utilized by the Trail of Tears Art Show. Currently, we have the winners from the Johnson O'Malley Art Contest on display at the Atrium Art Series, and that features work from children grades kindergarten through the 12th grade. And there is some really, really neat, interesting stuff there. So if you get a chance, please stop by. And I think that that is the new and upcoming dates that we have that I wanted to make you aware of, but I'm here and available for questions if anyone has any.
Counselor Vasquez?
Yes, hello, Candace.
Hi.
Can you tell me how long the GOM exhibit will hang?
It will be up until the end of April, and then we are partnering with the local Southeastern Indian Art Association to fill that atrium space at that point in time. And this may, I know this is near and dear to Counselor Vasquez's heart, but we will also be featuring work from the Master Apprentice program that is being conducted with the Cherokee National Treasures as well. So we will actually be we will be featuring apprentice work almost at the same time that we're going to be having our first inaugural Cherokee National Treasure Art Show. They're at the Heritage Center.
I'm gonna start working on a pot now. Maybe I'll get it done by October. Thank you.
My daughter's actually one of the 400 children that were at the Heritage Center today, so.
Oh, wonderful.
Have you gotten any estimates on, I know that your main building has got a lot of issues. Have you gotten estimates or a plan together for correcting that so that we don't lose the things that we have archived there?
That is an excellent question, and I appreciate your attention to the issue that we face down in archives and collections. There are 4 threats to your archives and collections, and that is temperature, humidity, light, and pests. Unfortunately, on our archives and collections area, we're right now unable to present some challenges to our curator and to our interim archivist in making sure that we maintain these collections for future generations of Cherokees. Currently, the recommendation that has come down from at least 2 different consultants is that to try and refurbish the interior of the basement in the museum would not be adequate. And one of the reasons is that we are limited to only 3,000 square feet of space in the basement. And we have really outgrown that space. So even if we were to refurbish that space, put in zoned heating and air conditioning, and mitigate the humidity problems that we're facing, which is immensely difficult in a basement for anyone who has dealt with a basement issue, we would still not be able to follow best practice space limitations. So currently what we have been exploring is a possible be located there on site. We received an estimate by working with construction, and I'm not quite sure of his correct title, but construction technician W.C. Granat from Cherokee Nation Businesses worked with us to secure an estimate on what a storage building would look like, the cost would be, and a bare bones construction for a metal building with finished interior, zoned heating and air, dry fire suppression, with no exterior theming, 1 metal bay door, would be about $550,000 for 7,200 square feet of space, and that would double the current space that we're in 3,000 square feet currently.
Thank you for that information.
Yes, about a year ago, I think we put a little group together to look into the amphitheater. Had Counselor Lay and Counselor Thornton and myself. I got a feasibility study back to look at that from an architect firm, and it was around $3.6 million to build a new in the same place that it is. So I will have our Secretary Gail Miller get that out to all the council members so they can review it. Then I'll have one sent to you. Then we can discuss that later. Okay, that's one comment I want to make. The other is, we have about how many board members to this day?
Currently, we currently have 22 board members, and that includes Chief Baker and Deputy Chief Crittenden as ex officio members. So we have 20 appointed board members currently serving on the Cherokee National Historical Society Board.
Okay. Total budget for the Heritage Center?
The total budget for the Heritage Center. That's a bit of an interesting question, mainly because
4 million, 5 million?
because of the MOA.
Okay.
With the MOA, and I happen to have our financials from
That's okay.
our last meeting, and I'm happy to circulate those.
The point I was going to make is we have about 22 board members there, running about a $5 million operation. We have about 11 board members at CNB running a $1 billion operation. When these people's time comes up, their terms, and they rotate off, my recommendation, I don't know about how the other council members feel, is if we're going to continue to inject money into the Heritage Center, we have too many board members. With the exception of Mr. Baker here, I think he's an excellent board member. Okay? I'm speaking on his behalf. But if we're going to continue to put money in that Heritage Center, and I really have a lot of passion for that place. I was employed there. It got me through college back in the 70s. Way before David Walkenstick was even born. And I want to continue to support it. But we can't operate efficiently with 22 board members. So if you would email me when those terms come up for those board members, maybe we can have a meeting and get some of this resolved, because we're going to continue to put money into that place. But it's hard to put money into a place you don't have any say-so or control.
Okay, before Councilor Coates responds, I would like to definitely respond to the point that you're making. One of the issues that will be taken up at the April 17th board meeting is the issue of board management.
Okay.
And currently, the recommendation is going to change on from the board management committee to the committee as a whole on the number of board members that are currently seated.
Okay.
And they still are pursuing restructuring at this time.
Good.
So I feel that the board as a whole is receptive to those kinds of helpful comments, and I think that we'll see some positive action at
Good.
the April meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Counselor Coates, did you?
Well, that's just what I was I recall something when you and Ms. Plum were here before, right, talking about this restructuring and everything, and I think it's very appropriate for the board to do that rather than for the council to be directing. I mean, a suggestion, as you put it, maybe is manageable, but it is my feeling that's for the board to do themselves, to reorganize that way. My question was, the board members are not paid, is my understanding. Is that right?
No, the board members are not compensated in any way. The board members travel to all board meetings and committee meetings on their own expense. There are times when the board members will provide us a copy of the receipt for the expenditures that they have incurred, whether it's hotel costs or mileage, and then we will write them an acknowledgement for their tax purposes, and because we consider that an in-kind donation from our board members.
So a restructuring of the board, whether it's to reduce the number or to restructure in some other fashion, would not necessarily make a significant impact on financial obligations that the Heritage Center has. I mean, there's not a strong financial impact that the board,
I
that
think,
that
yeah.
it costs the.
Yeah, I
to
think,
have a board.
I think the crux of the question that you're asking is, would the restructuring cost this Cherokee Heritage Center anything? And,
Well, I guess what I'm trying to
yeah.
understand is, would a reduction of the board or a restructuring of it, would it save the Heritage Center anything? And that's where I'm not quite understanding that it would offset anything very much.
Well, I think what has happened with the Cherokee Heritage Center has a long history, and a lot of people are very passionate. A number of people in this room and on this council have worked at the Heritage Center at one time or another, or you have family members who used to work at the Heritage Center. So it's very near and dear to all Cherokee people's hearts, and there's a lot of nostalgia there. And the board members, many of them are very passionate and very connected and very tied to the Cherokee Heritage Center as well. And the restructuring that has currently been discussed would be to narrow down the operating board to a smaller number, and then create another board, which may be the verbiage on that is not quite nailed down at this point, but they're thinking about calling that perhaps an advisory board or a friends board. I think Inali was one suggestion, like, saying Friends in Cherokee, to hold on to that institutional knowledge and to give those individuals who have devoted so much time and energy, and in some cases invested from their own pockets into the organization, give them an avenue to still stay on and retain that connection. So not necessarily completely divesting ourselves of those individuals, but to narrow down to a smaller, more agile operating board that can deal with day-to-day issues more effectively. And that is the thought process thus far on restructuring, while that emeritus board, advisory board, friends board, whatever the verbiage is on that, leaving them to focus solely on development and fundraising.
And that's what I had understood from when you and Ms. Plum were here before, that the operating board, as you were calling it, would be very much more active in the fundraising realm than maybe the huge board is at this particular.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying all of that again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have,
Speaker.
oh, Speaker Jordan?
I did not hear, what did you say your budget is without the MOA and with the MOA?
Without the MOA and with the MOA. Our total liabilities and equities as of January 31st, 2015, it was $2.5 million.
And then how much of that is as a result of the agreement with the nation?
Now it is just a little over 850,000. And the majority of the nation's contribution through the MOA is its payroll.
Now, are you on line with your fundraising activities to raise the remainder of the money this year?
We make money through revenue at the door, so that would be admissions. We get private donations for a number of items, including our art shows. Our art shows are fully funded through private donations, and we also receive income from our endowment. So we're very, very narrowly operating in the black most of the time and running pretty close to deficit
So your
part of the time.
Your total budget is 2.5 for the year, and 850 of that is mainly, I think there's only a couple employees paid by the center, and the rest are paid by Cherokee Nation. Is that correct?
We have a total of 6 employees paid by the Cherokee Heritage Center. And the remainder are either paid by Cherokee Nation or they're Cherokee Nation Enterprises employees,
And
because
how
the
many-
museum store is operated by CNE.
And how many other employees are there?
We have a total, and I'm not exactly sure how many Cherokee Nation employees we have. It's right around 14 or 15. And the museums,
Okay, so probably the nation or CMB's paying 18, around 18 employees. And
including my salary.
that comes out of Cherokee Nation.
Yes.
Okay, now, on your fundraising activities, year to date, what has your fundraising activities resulted in from other corporate sponsors? That's primarily why you were set up as, I believe, a 501, was to seek corporate sponsorship. How has that gone this year? I know the economy's tough.
Yeah. The economy's tough, and philanthropy across, the nation is down. But at the Cherokee Heritage Center, we are definitely not where we should be, and we're definitely not where we need to be, because we have not had the advantage of having a development director since a reduction in force that happened. I think she exited at least a year and a half ago. So we have kind of been, in essence, flying with one wing instead of two, trying to do development. So we are not very successful right now in our development enterprises.
So one of your needs maybe to visit with Cherokee Nation about is a development person.
We desperately need a development director.
Because unless you get your other side back up, then that means that you're gonna be asking for a greater amount from the nation. And the whole reason we created 501 was for the very purpose of corporate sponsorship. I think that this body is at a crossroads of whether you're going to bring this back under your wing for cultural activities, or whether you're going to continue down this other path, because the 501s are struggling in this country right now. People are struggling, and because people struggle, they can't, that slice that they normally donate is not there now. So some decisions in this coming year are gonna have to be made by this body as to which direction you're gonna go. Because your end's gonna keep going up if the other end's going down.
And it's really unfortunate that with the absence of that development director, a lot of our corporate contacts have atrophied. And those companies, we are trying to reinvigorate those relationships now to try and bring the other side back up. But once those contacts have been lost, it's like developing a whole new relationship all over again.
Good report, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Dr. Teague? Thank you for being here with us today. Appreciate
Well
it.
done.
We're gonna move on to our consent items. Which one of you fine young men is gonna report on the tarot list? All right, Mr. Mount, you're on the hot seat.
Since I'm the current interim, I guess I will do the report. You should have a copy of this in front of you or in your book. And I'll take any questions you have.
Yes, Councilor Buzzard?
Will about that last month, and John, but I didn't get it, and you heard this month. What I'd asked is to see how much money we're collecting from those non-Cherokee employees that are constructions or any site that we're collecting $25 from. Just curious of what kind of dollars we're bringing in from those fees, and also where are we spending them?
Okay. Of course, I don't have that today, but I can get that, and I will definitely have it for you. Does the committee want the same information? Okay.
Yeah, request sent in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Thornton?
I need to ask you a question about the company such as bring in.
Hmm?
Do they have to be 51% Cherokee to be okay through?
Not Cherokee, they have to be at least 51% Indian-owned, and that has to be from a federally recognized tribe.
Oh, okay. Then that means you could have a husband and wife, and the wife could own 51% and husband could run it, right?
Yes, but it would be better if she owned 100%,
Yeah.
just because of the certification
Okay,
law.
thank you.
Any other questions? Counselor Lay?
No question, just comment. I've worked with Willard many times, and he's a good man. I'm glad to see him.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that, sir.
Appreciate you, Willard.
Thank you.
Yes, Counselor Thornton?
I would carry Willard around on my shoulder.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
They don't really know you, do they?
They don't
I grew
know.
up with Willard. I know.
Well, thank you very much. All right.
Okay, so,
I make a motion, we accept the report.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to accept these tarot vendors. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you, Willard, and we look forward to working with you. Okay, the cemetery restoration, was there a new list on that, Jody, or is it?
Yes, there's could be a new list. I'll be like Hannah following Diane. Willard's gonna be a hard act for me to follow, so.
Okay, it looks like there's a few
Yeah, there is
additions.
a new, second to the last page is the cemetery list.
White Cemetery is the last one on there, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Make the motion to approve the cemetery, just
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the cemetery preservation assistance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. Moves us on to community assistance.
There's the new list on that, and I have a couple of changes to make. The first one is on Adair County 4-H for Counselor Hargis. It's $1,000, and it was blank on there. And the other one is right below that, Locust Grove Community Coalition. It was under Counselor Buzzards, and it actually should be under Counselor Taylor column, so.
Tried. Counselor Lay?
I've got in addition, Jody, 1,000 for Operation Eagle out of Bardaville.
Operation Eagle,
And I'll get you the contact.
okay.
Speaker Jordan, did you have something?
I believe, the three of us were going to split 3,000 for Tri-Community to do the equipment inside the new buildings.
Are you 1,000 and him 2,000 either way?
Joe's getting a little low, we may have to supplement him.
And that was
Tri-Community for equipment, they're
Joe,
finishing.
they were doing sign language and you
their
got
new
hit.
building.
Okay.
No, that's why I shifted back. We're good.
Is that,
Yeah, if I need some, I'll just come back to you guys.
I already told him we would help carry him.
Okay.
Any other changes?
Motion to approve?
Thank you, Counselor Hargis. I have a motion and a second to approve community assistance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, that moves us on to our law enforcement request. And we also have a new chart other than what's in your book.
Motion be accepted if there's no.
I have no changes.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to accept the law enforcement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. Roads is the next thing on our list.
They're handed out a new one-page summary sheet. There's an addition to what's in the book, and that's under motor vehicle tax for Counselor Buzzard. For Streets of Disney, $20,000 was added to the list.
Motion be accepted.
Motion?
Second. Have a motion and a second on the roads list. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, let's move on to, sports team applications. That one must be the one that's in our book.
Any changes on that,
See a
Judge?
new list here.
No, that's actually one of them that just gets processed as we pay them, so they'll be,
Okay.
obviously, and there's a bunch of them rolling in right now, so,
Baseball season.
but that should be fine.
I have a motion by Counselor Vasquez. Do I hear a second? And I've got a second. Let's accept the sports teams. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Moves us into livestock.
There's a new list. The last one on it is 5,100 for Cherokee County Junior Livestock Show, and there will be, this is another one that we just process as they get documented, so.
Must have some kids that are killing it.
We have 80 children, 51 of them were Cherokee this time.
Wow.
Very large percentage.
Make a motion to be accepted.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the livestock funding. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, that moves us into new business. Yes.
I'd like to amend the agenda to add a resolution that's presented in front of you.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to amend the agenda. All those in favor? Any opposition? Okay, so, Speaker Jordan, would you take this first one? It's Jody's, but she's not here.
The first one is yes ma'am. The first one is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Warehouse to donate surplus office equipment to Cherokee Nation Industries for the Employee Services Department. And I would put that in form of a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on this first resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, that brings us to the amended item. Counselor Hargis?
Sure. This is an act amending Legislative Act 2514, authorizing the comprehensive operating budget for fiscal year 2015, Mod 7, and declaring an emergency. The motion.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Jody, you want to unpack that for us?
The total mod is $9,102,087, of which $653,310 is grant reporting. On the section B, the actual request is for 9 budgets for $8,448,777. The first item is Cherokee Sports Teams, 1010-025, modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $20,000. The new budget, total budget is $70,000. Item 2, Cherokee Livestock Auctions, 1010-026, General Fund, it's modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $25,000. The new total budget will be $75,000. Item 3, litigation, 1010-110, General Fund, modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $300,000. The new total budget of $613,046. Item 4, Citizens Compensation Committee, 1010-203. General Fund. I'm trying to remember if this is for 500. Did we approve last month already? Okay, I just trying to. Huh? Okay, yes, we do approve the. Yeah, okay. Kind of had me confused there. The The total includes payment to the 5 members at $500 per meeting for up to 3 meetings plus IDC. Item 5 is Heart of the Nation, 1010-278, General Fund. Modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $17,988 relating to offsetting contributions and donations received. The new total budget is $39,727. Item 6, unappropriated reserves, 1010 new 296 General Fund. New budget requesting expenditure authorization of $6,515,571, of which $1,566,500 is transferred to motor fuel tax, higher ed scholarships in item 7, and $4,949,071 is reserved by appropriation. These numbers are based on the draft numbers and are expected to fluctuate a little after the final audit numbers that'll be coming out in the next week or so. So probably next month there'll be a slight adjustment to those carryover numbers, but nothing major is expected. Item 7, motor fuel tax, higher ed scholarships, 102-4001. Under motor fuel tax, it's a modification requesting an increase in expenditure authorization of $1,566,500 that is funded by a transfer in from general fund in item 6. The new total budget is $12,944,000, and that's comprised of $3,585,668 motor fuel tax funds and $9,358,332 from, that's actually general fund. The estimated number of students for the fall 2015 semester is 3,780, and that's a growth of 350 over the fall of 2014 semester. With the tremendous growth in scholarships, I thought a comparison would be helpful, and I've listed out the last 5 years there. You'll notice in 2010, the total for scholarships was $6.68 million, and in 2015, it's $12.94 million. It's almost doubled in a 5-year time period. Item 8, EHS Administration, 333-1000. IHS Self-Governments, Tribal Environmental Health. Modification requesting a change in expenditure authorization with no change in the total budget of $1,820,291. Tribal Environmental Health indirect costs are budgeted in this administration budget. Therefore, when the direct expenditures in item 9 were reduced, the indirect charges in this budget was reduced by $745, allowing for a $745. Item 9, Tribal Solid Waste Management, 333-4000, IHS Self-Governance, Tribal Environmental Health. It's a modification requesting a decrease in expenditure authorization of $4,917 for actual carryover. The new total budget is $10,083, and the adjustment in IDC is reflected in item 8.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on this? Let's go ahead and vote on it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition?
I'd just like to make
Yes,
one
okay,
remark.
sorry.
If you notice in those numbers that Jody just gave you, in less than the last 4 years, I guess we've doubled the number of scholarships, gone from
6.68 million in 2010 to 12.94 million this year. So.
And this body has done that. That is that many more children that will be able to support their own families and take care of their own needs once we get them through school. Plus, if you look at the technical side of it, I believe we've either doubled or tripled that. for them to learn a vocation if they want to go to tech school. Y'all are to be congratulated on
And one thing you'll notice there too is this is under the motor fuel tax accounting unit, but actually it's, with the growth in it, it's actually become more of a general fund funded project just due to the sheer growth that's been required for funding, so.
Brings us to our amended item 3. Counselor Hargis, you want to take that one?
This is a resolution authorizing the Cherokee Nation Health Program to donate an automated external defibrillator AED to Zion Public School located in Nader County. I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the AED. Is there any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, that brings us to announcements. Have anything? Okay, in that case, I would entertain a motion to
Make a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? Any opposition? Adjourned.